I am still Fortunatus Onuh. I am a historian with very high interest in African history. And I also take serious interest in personal and family history documentation. Well, other areas of history also interest me. In one of the presentations I have in my YouTube channel, I made case or I analyzed the concept of returns or the concept of returning artifacts, art materials, historical materials stolen from Africa by Europeans during the pre-colonial era and the colonial era. But some things need to be looked into here. Yes, Europeans came to Africa, conquered Africans or conquered many parts of Africa, put up colonial government over Africa, and within the pre-colonial era and the colonial era, Europeans stole a huge number of African artifacts and African artworks and African historical materials. And these materials are very important towards the cultural heritage, the historical content, and the general understanding of African makeup. But there are things we really have to look out for here. I, for one, have some issues as regard how this debate is going. Yes, it is the right of Africans to request or ask for the return of these materials. Most of them are very vital materials, very historical materials, very important materials that have strong historical information. There is need for them to be returned for proper analysis as regard their historical values and the information behind them. But looking inwards as an African or as an African historian or a historian living in Africa, precisely I'm from Nigeria, have the people in Africa made a move to look inwards? I strongly believe, I know for sure it is true, that Europeans didn't steal everything. There are still some that are in existence. Do we have governments in Africa trying to create museums towards this projection? Do we have individuals that are collectors of these historical artifacts? What is the valuation of these historical artifacts in Africa by Africans? Well, it is on this point that some operators of museums or some countries that operate museums or even some workers in these museums in Europe tend to be, it's on this point that they tend to be arguing that although I watched one of them, the argument was very funny. He was saying that the fact that these materials were moved from Africa to Europe gave him some level of value on them. Well, that presentation is funny and can be said to be unacceptable. But if we are truthful with ourselves, if we look at the truth analytically, that presentation may have something inside. But the truth is this: Europeans did not steal all the historical materials in Africa. And we are not seeing any much of valuation. Well, let me actually not generalize it the whole of Africa. I live in Nigeria. I'm from Nigeria, and I'm a Nigerian. We don't really see much of it In my country, Nigeria, we don't have, even within communities or states in Nigeria, what is the evaluation like? We have state-based museums that are protecting African cultural materials that are very important, materials that are very important towards explaining the history of Africans. I came from a region or an ethnic orientation called the Igbo. In almost every Igbo family, there is before Christianity came, there was this issue of offer holding base or for title base in almost every family, based on what our forefathers and our fathers, our grandfathers and our forefathers worshipped, or their own mode of worship as at that period. There was always an offer in the family. Most times, the offer is illustrated by a particular artwork with evaluation. And most of these things exist. Most of these things can be collected to explain that particular culture of the Igbos. But unfortunately, all these things are not even being collected by anybody. We don't have private individual that collects. We don't really have the government are not even doing anything that much. But we are here doing the right thing though by requesting for the returns. But have we looked inwards to do our own thing? If you look at the contents in African history, if you're a historian or someone that have interest in African history, you will agree with me that most of the contents in African history are very, very debatable. If you look at the sources of information used in developing many contents in African history, you have pro-Arab sources, you have pro-European sources. A little is done as regard internal sources. History of some places in Africa are written based on records taken by some Arabians or some Arab people of Arab background. Mainly or basically, when you look at if you look at the parts of West Africa, for instance, the likes of Ghana Empire, Mali Empire, Songa Empire, Tekro Empire, and most of those empires that exist within the Trans-Saharan area. Most of the contents used in writing their history are from information gathered and provided by people of Arab descent. And you may have to argue some of those contents from pro-Arab content or pro-Arab analysis or injections. We had the issue of pro-European. Because nobody's carrying out analysis or nothing is being done about research analysis in African history, becomes a problem. We have to make do with only information we have on the ground, which are highly debatable. And this is not helping the growth of Africa, the development of Africa. And this is purely a major concept of derailment. But looking inwards, we might get some of these answers. One of the major sources or major source of historic information or major source of information when you are writing history is basically archaeological materials. The archaeological materials, the analysis of archaeological materials gives you or will definitely give you very clear information about the usage, information about the past based on the material, where you physically analyze a particular material, a particular historical site, or a particular historical material. And some of these materials will give you an insight. Now, let me give a certain example, a research-based example. There was some issues with debates as regard how iron came to Africa. There are people that tend to say that iron came to Africa based on or from the Asian continent. Some people believe that iron was brought into Africa by the Europeans. But the existence of materials, existence of archaeological materials found in Africa, found in some places in Africa, have disproved these two schools of thought, or these schools projectors on or thinkers. Some of the materials found in Africa date millions of years ago, based on the little research by some people. And these materials tend to disprove the fact, the insinuation that iron was brought to Africa from Europe. Those materials explain that yes, there was some level of interaction between people in Africa and some people from outside Africa, from Asia, but iron was already in existence the time it was in Africa, the time it was in existence in Asia. Now look at the fact that Africa is the cradle of humanity, the only place on earth where remains of what is believed to be the earliest human beings have been found. But when you look at some of the theories of origin of most ethnic groups in Africa, you see where somebody or some people try to inject misinformation, claiming that those particular people can trace their origin from outside Africa. Africa being the cradle of humanity, where the earliest human remains have been found, which is believed to be the earliest place human beings existed, based on analysis and research and findings, is now being looked upon as having, their origin from outside Africa. I mean, it's literally debatable. And this information are being taught in schools, lower schools, higher schools, even in the universities. And they have been presented all over in media and many other platforms. And the only way this can be resolved is if Africans or government in Africa, individuals in Africa, companies in Africa should look inwards towards analyzing what we have in Africa. And this can only be handled by research-based analysis. We should have, almost in all countries in Africa, cultural museums where you display materials of historic and cultural values of every other group, so that people from around the world, many parts of the world, can come and look at it and also understand Africa. Africa is like purely a place that is not even being understood properly. People in America understand Africa based on information generated in America. People in Asia understand Africa based on information generated in Asia. How many persons come to Africa to understand Africa based on information that are inbuilt or generated in Africa? So it's not about shouting, bring back these our materials, bring back these our materials. How are we even handling our own at home? Yes, it's very important, and there should be a genuine demand, and it should be handled first, the issue of returning these materials. I'm all for that. But are we doing what we are supposed to do anyways? Well, please subscribe to our channel. I really want to know what you think. It is a debate that every African or anybody from around the world should get involved. If you love Africa, you want to help Africa, we should completely come together to help Africa. Well, if there's any company that wants to put up a museum in Africa, that want a template that will help to put up a cultural museum in Africa, is it from government, is it from individual or company, we can assist you, we can give you consultancy as regard what we need to do, as regard how you need to go about it, and at the same time how to make it profitable for you, because it should be an investment opportunity. Please subscribe to our channel and click on the notification icon so that anytime we drop a new content, you'll be one of the earliest people to be notified. Thank you so much. I still remain Fortunatus Onuh.